In today's matchup, we put two titans of their respective universes head-to-head in an epic battle of good versus evil. Or is it, let's bug battle, in the red corner, hailing from Fawcett City, weighing in at about 192 pounds, standing 6'3", Captain Marvel, or as he's better known these days, and in the blue corner, hailing from Monster Island, weighing in at about 60,000 tons, standing somewhere between 300 to 400 feet, Godzilla. Let the bug battle begin. For those of you who may not be familiar with the world of DC Comics, let me catch you up on the one and only Shazam, originally appearing in Wiz Comics, issue number 5 back in February of 1940. This kid hero started out life as young Billy Batson, but after escaping an evil plot that would have seen his adoptive mother's life force used to resurrect the evil wizard Shazam, Billy was instead bestowed with the powers of 6 gods by the now reformed Shazam, the Rock of Eternity, in exchange for killing the wizard. Now every time Billy utters the magic word Shazam, he is transformed into a fully grown superpowered adult with powers over lightning, stamina, strength, flight, speed, power, durability, invulnerability, and even a little bit of magic. So what's not to love? A kid hero who can turn into a ripped superhero with all those powers just by saying one silly word. And yes, his costume does change too. A simple white shirt and red trunks during his days as Billy, and then later a modernized version of his original comic book outfit as Shazam. Basically, this guy is the epitome of magical power. The question is, can that magical power stand up to the ultimate monster? Godzilla first appeared in the movie Godzilla Raids Again in 1955. Although originally created by special effects master A.G. Sub, the character has since been owned by Toho Studios, standing anywhere from 300 to 400 feet tall, depending on which iteration of the character you prefer, and weighing in at about 60 cells and tons. Godzilla is one of the largest kaijus to ever exist. The most common origin story given to him puts him as a result of nuclear testing off the coast of Bikini Atoll, although many of the films take liberties with explaining how such a massive radioactive dinosaur came to be. But I guess if you're going to suspend belief enough to accept that a giant monster exists, you might as well suspend your disbelief enough to accept that said monster was born via nuclear mutation. So why do we like this big lug so much? Well, there's something oddly endearing about a giant monster destroying stuff. I mean, sure, you might live in a city that's getting leveled by the titular beast, but hey, at least it's not your fault. You know, when your house gets leveled, it's always someone else's fault, usually a giant monster. And now that I think about it, both of these guys tend to destroy property. So how will they fare against each other? Let's find out. The scene opens on a busy street in Metropolis. People are going about their business, some heading home from work, others trying to catch a late-night bite to eat. Suddenly, the ground begins to shake violently, and people look around, confused as cars honk and sirens blare. Suddenly, buildings begin to crumble and fall as everyone looks up to see a giant green back and tail disappearing over the horizon. That's right, folks. We've got our first kaiju sighting in the DC universe since DCVS. Dark Horse, oh yeah, baby. This is going to be fun. Back in the Fortress of Solitude, Superman is alerted to the disturbance on the surface of the Earth by Batman, who's apparently been tracking the earthquake waves generated by Godzilla's footsteps. Batman suggests they should go investigate, while Wonder Woman suggests they should probably leave it alone, since it does seem to be a direct threat to humanity at the moment. But Superman thinks that it's best to check it out, just to make sure, though he admits that he has no idea where to start looking. Wonder Woman suggests that they send out some scouts. Maybe he'd get some more information before jumping into things blindly. But before Superman can reply, a familiar voice booms across the sky. Shazam! From high above the clouds, Superman and company watch as a small boy in front of them transforms into a fully grown adult superhero with a white shirt and red trunks. Superman and Wonder Woman smile at the sight. It's always nice to see a kid doing good in the world, especially when that kid can also turn himself into a ripped adult superhero with magical powers. As Shazam flies down towards the city to investigate, Batman looks on with curiosity. He knows Superman is friends with the kid superhero, but he's never actually met him, and he wonders if this Shazam is connected to this disturbance in any way. Shazam quickly determines that this monster is not only alive, but also radioactive, and as a result, is powered by the radiation that's being expelled from the Earth itself. Realizing that they need to stop this thing before it hurts anyone, Shazam calls out to it with a friendly greeting, asking if it needs help. But Godzilla simply responds with a deafening roar and fires a laser beam from his mouth that knocks Shazam off course. And to make matters worse, Shazam quickly discovers that the harder he punches the beast, the stronger it gets. So what's a magically powered superhero to do when the bad guy gets stronger the more damage he inflicts? Calls Superman for backup, of course. With a flick of his wrist, Shazam calls for backup and sends a message straight to the Fortress of Solitude. It's not long before Superman arrives and Shazam fills him in on the situation. Shazam says that he tried talking to the beast, but it didn't respond to him, but it did respond to the energy blasts he sent its way. Superman agrees to hold off the monster so that Shazam can try to figure out a way to defeat it. And while Shazam does his best to come up with a plan, Superman tries everything in his power to stop Godzilla, but nothing seems to work. Nuclear blasts bounce off of Godzilla's scaly hide. Heat vision does little damage, and punches and kicks barely leave a scratch. Even worse, Godzilla's atomic breath actually begins to weaken Superman, because Godzilla's nuclear attacks aren't just powerful, they're also supercharged with magical energy. Energy that Superman can't absorb the way he normally would, leaving him weakened and vulnerable. Meanwhile, Shazam is still trying to figure out a way to beat Godzilla. He realizes that the only way to do it is to use his magic staff, an artifact that draws its power directly from the Rock of Eternity. But in order to do that, he's going to have to fly back to the rock and grab it. But with Superman having to hold Godzilla off, and no one else knowing where the Rock of Eternity is, he's going to have to do it alone. Saying goodbye to Superman, Shazam heads back to the rock. But Godzilla is actually a lot closer than Shazam thinks. In fact, the monster is already on top of the rock, shaking it with each step. With the rock being thrown about like a child's toy, Shazam realizes he has to act fast. Using his super speed, he races back to his foster family, grabs his magic rock, and returns just in the nick of time. Just as Superman was about to lose to Godzilla, Shazam arrives and uses the staff to fire a blast of magic directly at the creature. But Godzilla shrugs off the attack, as if it were nothing but a mosquito bite. What? How? Is that possible? Of course it is. It's a Bug Battles match. Anything's possible. It turns out that the magic inside Godzilla is actually feeding him power, making him stronger with each magical attack he absorbs. Realizing this, Shazam changes tactics. Instead of using his magic staff to attack Godzilla, he uses it to protect himself. And as Godzilla closes in, he begins to absorb the magical energy from the creature's own atomic breath, weakening Godzilla with each passing second. But as quickly as it started, it ends. Godzilla, realizing that something's wrong, runs away before he's completely drained of his magical power, disappearing into the distance. Shazam lowers his staff and smiles, believing he won. But Superman shakes his head. Even though Godzilla ran away, Superman thinks that it's only a matter of time before he comes back for round 2. But Shazam is unafraid. Not only does he think he can win, he thinks he can win without harming Godzilla. Shazam believes that Godzilla is simply a scared animal who's lashing out because it feels threatened. So, if he can just show Godzilla that he's not a threat, everything will be fine. But will it? Find out next time. Who do you think will win this Bug Battles match? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching. Bug Battles is made possible by our generous patron. If you would like to support Bug Battles, you can do so at our support page.